Hello everyone, welcome to the FM network. I'm DarkHorse FM and today I'm here as a guest creator on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a simple tactic that helped me transform a struggling Hungarian side to title contenders in one season. Remember, if you like what you see, be sure to pop up on over to my channel. The link is going to be in the description down below. For more videos about mid-table sides, lower league management, and teams that go unnoticed in football, visit DarkHorse FM. Also, make sure you subscribe to the FM network YouTube channel. So let's get to it. So before we go into the tactic, I feel I have to put into context the job I actually had to fulfill with Budapest 100. So first of all, we're going to go through the previous season and then you see how the 3-2-3-2 system worked out for 100 and then how it kind of tailed and fell off towards the end. And then afterwards, we're going to compare the results from the previous season to results I had this season using a different tactic that I created for the same squad. Okay, ideally I sold some players and then I bought a new group of players, and most of my players are quite underage. But I'm going to show you the tactic I created for the new Budapest 100 season that I used to actually challenge Ferencváros for their title, although they ended up winning the trophy on the last match of the season. That was like 74-73. It was so hurtful that they actually went on to win the trophy, but we'll get to that. So this is the current season and we're going to go one season before, and then you can see the results that we had with the previous tactic that I used, the previous total football tactic that I used with Budapest 100. We did well in the beginning of the season and then towards the end of the season it sort of fell off and then we lost way too many games. At this point towards the end of the season, I actually had in mind the new tactic that I wanted to create for Budapest 100 and how I wanted to transform the team. But the plan was to actually not get relegated, right? And then we ended up pushing for European places, and actually we were first for a period during when we transformed the tactics. So in our second season, then this is how the season went on. We went on a clean, friendly period, and then we had good results. We had a few defeats here and there to Fehava and MTK. What's MTK's full name, by the way? I'm just curious. MTK Budapest. So what does MTK mean? Does anyone know? So as going through the season, we actually ended up winning most games. We lost to Rennes in the in the friendly. This was the friendly game, by the way. It looks like Europa League to me. But then we ended up losing against the Debrecen. But throughout to the end of the season, we went on a clean run, and then we also lost to Fred. This is probably why they won the league. The most important game of the season, we ended up losing. It was an away game, but it was tough. And then we couldn't get that goal back. As much as we pressed Ferencváros throughout the whole match, we couldn't just get that goal back. And then we lost to Fehava again. So these are the two top teams in the Hungarian league, right? We did lose to them 1-0 and 2-1. It was tough to get there, but then we still managed to finish second in the league. Above Fehava, and we scored a lot more goals than them. So we're going to look at the tactic and then see how the tactic helped us to achieve this feat. For the second season, I had in mind what I wanted to create for the tactic that I'm going to use for season 2. What the plan was to actually redesign the Budapest 100 4-3-3 to suit the players that I have, one, and then secondly to try and retain that total football philosophy while playing in a in a slightly different way to try and suit the players that we have, because the previous tactic was just way too open and then we let in a lot of goals. But with this one, we're a bit more solid in defense because of the shape that we took. That's the 4-1-2-3 4-3-3. Yeah, 4-3-3 DMY. That was the shape that we took. And in order for us to retain that possession style of play without using short passing in the team instruction was tricky. Because what I did then was to actually include short passing into my player instructions. That way I wasn't forcing it for every player in the team, but then I had certain players that were required to retain possession. That way we kept the possession-based style of play without actually forcing it for every player in the team. So in the goalkeeper role, I use the super keeper on support as opposed to the super keeper on defend. I noticed that the super keeper on defend was a bit more conservative in possession, but then I had this new regen, this wonder kid, Aaron Fazekas, that was actually good as a super keeper on support, so I couldn't just let him play as a super keeper on defend. Look at those attributes, guys. 16-year-old. I'm never selling this guy. So I used Aaron Fazekas as a super keeper on support because there's no need to ask him to take fewer risks or do anything less risky. Just be yourself, fam. And then in the back four, I use a fullback on support duty, two central defenders on defend, and a fullback on attack duty on the right hand side. The trick here is you can actually use the left fullback as a wing back, as a fullback on attack, sorry, and then you once you use him as a fullback on attack, you might want to use this other guy on support, depending on who you have. So this is what I do when I'm using. If I'm using Jez Demirovic, so if he's the player I'm using, I'm actually going to use him as a fullback on attack duty. And then if I'm using Tamas on the other wing, Tamas also has good crossing, but he's more conservative and he's slightly older, so I'm going to use him as a fullback on support duty as well. Why I'm telling you this is because sometimes I use Shimura, which is my DM. Sometimes I use him in this role, and then that way he doesn't have that good. His crossing is not that great. It's like 10, so I can actually then use Shimura as a fullback on support duty, and then I use Tamas as a fullback on attack duty. So there was a bit of switch going on. This is what I was doing throughout the season. In defensive midfield, oh, by the way, I didn't cover my central defenders' internal instructions. Internal instruction for my central defenders was to pass it shorter, both central defenders. The fullback had pass it shorter, close down more, mark tighter. That's the fullback on the right hand side if he's on attack. Remember, the other guy is going to be on support. If the left guy is on support or is on attack, then this guy is going to be on support. So their instructions are identical, by the way. Pass it shorter, close down more, mark tighter. In the defensive midfield, I used defensive midfielder on support, pass it shorter, mark tighter. You can see that all my players have actually been asked to pass it shorter without including it in the in possession team instruction, right? Most of the tips and tricks I learn are from FM Network. So remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. You can get all your information about getting tips and tricks on Football Manager. You can get them on Football Manager Network. So in central midfield, I use a central midfielder on support duty. He has a lot more instructions as well, because I noticed this player needed to be creative, but then I didn't want him to play as an advanced playmaker because I use an advanced playmaker on the other side. So I'm going to use a central midfielder, and then the player had a lot more energy. It's not Naji I used in this role, by the way. It was Carez Stes something central midfielder on attack duty. So he was always inclined to get forward, but then I wanted someone to be in the central midfield position, right? So I had to use him on support duty and then force the instruction of get further forward, which is acting like a central midfielder on attack, even though he's playing on support. I also included take more risks, run right with the ball, roam from position, close down more, tackle harder, and mark tighter. For the AP on the left hand side, that's the central midfielder. That's on the left hand side is an advanced playmaker on support. He has been asked to take more direct passing and also room from positions as well. This is important for the total football philosophy. He's asked to drift into areas and then try and cause confusion in the opposition's defense. My right winger is an inverted winger on support. Ideally, Lukic is my striker. Nenad Lukic is normally supposed to be my striker, but then I had another striker that was like 6'5", so I had to move Lukic to the wing and then train him as an inverted winger to actually play in this role. His instruction is now pass it shorter, roam from position, close down more, and mark tighter. For the winger, this winger is usually Zota. Zota, I think, is 27 now. So his instruction is pass it shorter, roam from position, close down more, and mark tighter, just like the inverted winger on I should have just said it's the same instructions. So in advanced forward is my tall striker. Where is he? I swear I'm going to find him because I need to show him to you guys. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Here he is, Norbert Balov. He's a 6'5" centre forward, and funny enough, he's not a target man. So you can see that he's inverted winger, but I use him as an advanced forward because he has some pace and stamina as well. Okay, no stamina, just pace and acceleration. But look at his height, 6'5". This guy could head anything in the air, and he could basically overpower all your near post corners and then get those corners, get you scoring a lot of goals from corners. Funny enough, I didn't use him enough in that role. Not that I felt it was cheating, I just felt I forgot most of the time to actually change the corner setups. So what I was doing was sometimes I'll use Balov here as an inverted winger, and then I'll forget to bring him in as a striker. But more often than not, when I remember that, then I dragged him in. And sometimes I feel the game has actually nerfed out the near post corners. So for some reason, Balov didn't get as many goals that I thought he would, but at 6'5", he was able to tower defenders and then get those knock-on balls and then head the ball for another player to actually come and score. So for the team instructions then, in out of possession, my team, I asked them to mark tighter and then press urgently, like much more urgent pressing, and then prevent short goalkeeper distribution as well. With defensive weight, I noticed my assistant said we were conceding too many goals from through balls, so he asked us to use a narrow defensive width. So that's why I forced the position outside with the narrow defensive width. The defensive line is higher, and then the line of engagement is also higher. in transition, the team has been asked to counter press and to counter, which is opposed to what I would normally use for a possession-based style of play. I normally prefer hold shape, but I noticed that the opposition had a lot of space behind them, by the way. So when we got the ball and then we were just passing between ourselves, they had time to close down their defense, and then it was difficult for us to break them down. So I noticed using counter actually helped us get more goals or get the ball into the attacking areas quickly. So the goalkeeper also an instruction to distribute to centre backs and to full backs as well. In possession, then we asked the team to walk the ball into the box, and then we kept the width wide. For most of the game, I actually used narrow defensive width. Most of my season I actually played narrow defensive width because I noticed some teams were using 4-4-2, and something that works against 4-4-2 is a narrow width. If you use your 4-3-3, if you're using your three-pronged attack 4-3-3, and then you shift the defensive width to narrow, your attacking width, to narrow, it actually compresses the attacking, your attacking focus is a lot more through the middle now, and then you can actually overpower the amount of players that they have. So if a 4-4-2 flat has 2 players here, your wingers are forced to come inside, and then that leaves space outside for your fullbacks to overlap. It's weird, but it kind of worked. I noticed it was working in the game. So for other teams, we have to play wide, so I'm going to leave that as fairly wide. And then the team instructions for final third, we asked the team to walk the ball into the box. More often than not, this was turned off because Balov was the main striker, and then we had to cross more balls in. So when you notice that your team is struggling to break down the opposition, never be afraid to take this off and then float crosses by all means, because I had a 6'5" forward, so I could float crosses. So if you do not have a 6'5" forward, you might want to leave it on mixed. Tempo is slightly higher, and for most of my season I actually used short passing, and then I realized towards the end of the season teams started to defend a lot more, so I had to increase that passing directness to get the ball from back to front a lot quicker. Team creativity was asked to be expressive. I don't really like my team being too disciplined, because for 100 anyway, I wanted to create total football style where my players are allowed to do and express themselves as well as they can, so you can see their full potential. So that's why I included this, be more expressive. So guys, that's the summary of the tactic. We can jump into the team stats. Then we can see that out of 33 games we lost 6, which is a lot, but for a team that were 8 in the previous season, I think we actually did well. There are some games that we couldn't have lost, and then we can notice that 3 of those defeats came against Fejava. So Fejava is my bogey team in this division, I have to admit. And then we can take care of Fejava, we probably would win the league. So in this season, if I actually beaten Fejava twice, we would have won the league, because I think we had Ferencváros covered. We did win against Ferencváros once, and then we drew once, and then we lost once to them. So basically that's how the league went. We won 23 games, and then we drew 4, and then lost 6 of those games. Had 73 points in total, and then Ferencváros had 74. Looking at the team stats, then Puskás had the highest amount of possession, but then we were third with 55% possession. That means, despite the fact that we're using a high tempo and not so short passing, we managed to still have a high percent of possession because we were winning the ball early. The most goals were scored by Ferencváros, and then we had 58. I think Ferencváros had 62, as we can see here. Most dribbles made. We were not in the dribbling department because my tactic was not focused on running at defense a lot. I noticed, in fact, when I checked the data hub, you can see that the team's attacking dribbles was terrible, like weren't dribbling. I was even trying to force my players to run at defense, but it did not work. Let me just check. Yep, we did this run at defense at some point, but it didn't help. Probably that's why my dribbling is so low. I'm going to just check that, maybe in my next season anyway. So looking at the player stats, then we can just see who stood out. Then Lukic had 15.3 for expected goals, so he scored about 15 goals. And then the most assists was by Zota. He had 11 assists, but then you can see my central midfielders in there. Pantelic was a central midfielder for me, and he had 8 assists. And then the fullback, Milan, let's try again. Milan Demirovic. Yes, I got it this time. He also had 8 assists, and then he was playing as the fullback on attack, remember? Yep, okay, no, this is wrong. Yeah, that looks better. So that's how it is. So guys, that's basically how I was able to overachieve with 100, and strictly I think I still have a plan to overthrow Ferencváros. It's something I enjoy doing in Football Manager, by the way. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the FM Network's YouTube channel, and also to subscribe to my channel. You can find teams that are somewhat hidden in the game, and if your hometown club is actually achieving exceedingly above and beyond in their own league, you can let me know in the comment section. I can look up your team and then see their amazing tactic that they have, and then we'll try and run it on Football Manager as well. So that's the summary of the video, guys. Yeah, in case I did not already say it, remember to subscribe to the FM YouTube channel, and thanks to the FM network channel for giving me the opportunity to actually be a guest speaker today. I really appreciate this channel a lot because I learned a lot from this channel. In fact, basically the FM network teaches me Football Manager, I have to be honest, and to be honest, I've improved a lot in this game, and especially in FM22 as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys. Well, I'll see you soon.